Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another edition of Teardrops of Tuesday Transformation Tidbits with Patrice, where we're here to fuel your faith, sharpen your focus, and push you into the next level. I am so glad to be with you on this morning, and I'm excited about being in the season that we're in on this morning, having some difficulties this morning, but nonetheless, we're going to keep moving on. Been having difficulties with this a while, so it's not really showing up. So I can't see who's really in and who's really out. But nonetheless, we're going to move on into what it is that we're doing for today. On today, we're here to fuel your faith, to sharpen your focus, and to push you into the next level of where we're going in Christ. And on today, we're going to be talking about count it all joy. We're going to be developing a new and approved attitude towards life as we travel into this Thanksgiving season. This Thanksgiving season is really going to be dealing with us getting together with family and doing with family what we need to be have done with family. So on this morning, we're going to be patterned after James 1, 2, and 3, which is going to be a focus pattern this morning. And it says, consider it pure joy, my brother and sister, whatever you face, the trials of many kind, because you know that the testing of your faith, it really produces perseverance. And on this morning, we're going to talk about now that when we look at that statement, it's really a bold statement. When we look at that statement, it's talking about the joy in the midst of all of the trials that you're going through. It's talking about the things that you're encountering in life. It's talking about joy when life feels as though that it's heavy. And today we're going to be unpacking, what does that mean? You have joy when you feel as though life things are heavy. You have joy in the midst of your trials. When we unpack this, how can we carry joy as we go into this Thanksgiving week? Not only this Thanksgiving week, but how do we carry joy when we go beyond that? And when we talk about carrying joy, when we go behind that, let's first really define what joy is. Let's start by, redefining joy. Too often we confuse joy with happiness, and happiness really depends on the circumstances that we're currently in. Happiness, it flees, it comes, and happiness goes. But on the opposite side, when you look at joy, joy is deeper, it's resilient, it's rooted in perspective, in faith and gratitude that is the one. So when you think about it, happiness say, I feel good because things that are going on all around me. But joy says, even if things don't go my way, I choose to see the blessing. I choose to grow. I choose to rise above the circumstances. So when we begin really to look at joy, joy is a choice, whereas happiness is predicated upon the circumstances that you're actually sitting in. Joy says, I choose to do this, irregardless of what may be coming my way. I choose to sit here and I choose to really do what I choose to do, because not because of my circumstances, but because of situations. So when we really look at joy, here's a quick reflection of joy. What brings you joy when life is hard? Think about it for a moment. When you're going through something that's very difficult, what is it that brings you joy? What is it that you actually go through to see what it is that you're enduring is? How does joy help you rather in hard times? Maybe it's laughter of things that are going on around. Maybe it's the comfort of friends that you're actually doing. Maybe it's the peace that you have when you overcome challenges in your life. But what brings you joy? You see, joy is not about pain. It's really about transformation. It's about saying the trials is shaping me. The trials are strengthening me. The trials are refining me. And that's why James told us in this episode, he said, count it all joy. Am I saying count it all joy is easy? No, I'm not saying counting all joy is easy, but it has to be a choice that we choose to do. My next point is that your attitude has to be reset in order to count it all joy. Now, let's talk about resetting our attitude just for one quick second. When we look about the negative thoughts that we have, negative thoughts is a pattern that we call around. And negative thoughts pattern, what it does, it drains us. Complaints really weigh us down. It takes a lot to complain because you got to be consistent in your complaining. You got to always have something to say that's wrong. You don't never have anything to say that's good. But gratitude, what it does, it restores your energy. It shifts your perspective. And when we look at gratitude, what it does, it is empower us to go further. One of the most practical tools you can do when you're talking about gratitude is you can journal. A lot of times people are not good at writing it down, but journaling really helps you to divulge everything that's on this inside of you. Have you ever been going through a time that everything seems to be overwhelming and you can't see which way to go? I guarantee you that if you journal will allow whatever's on the inside of you to come out of you. Write down this week or write down in the next couple of days some things that you're thankful for. As you gather around your family, as you begin to go, and if you're cooking, don't forget to invite me and my family. But if you're cooking, write down some things that you're thankful for. Write down the smallest blessings. Write down the things that give you joy. And when you begin to write down these things, I guarantee you that your attitude will switch. As we go into this Thanksgiving weekend, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we don't forget to say thank you. One of the ministers at the church, I believe it was last Wednesday, she did a Bible study and she said, don't forget to say thank you. And that has resonated in my spirit that everywhere I'm going, I'm not forgetting to say thank you. Thank you for the little things. Thank you that God saw fit enough in me to rise me up this morning and help me to start over. Thank you because the Father loves me so much. When no one else seems to love me, I am thankful that God loves me. Thank you. You breathed to me the breath of life. Thank you that I have a house that I'm able to live in. Don't forget to say thank you. When we speak life, when we look at daily affirmations that we do, we want to speak over ourselves. And what we want to tell ourselves is that I choose joy. I'm resilient. And I see blessings even in the challenges that are in my life. I see blessings. But the part that I like when I was writing this is that I choose joy. When people come to you and they want to begin to talk to you about foolishness, things that's going to damper your spirit, you got to look at them and say, I'm not dealing with that today because I choose joy. And if I listen to you complain, if I listen to you whine, you're going to build a sense of negativity in me, which is going to drain me later. I can't deal with it. So I choose joy. And in the midst of me choosing joy, I choose not to deal with you. So when we begin to look about a attitude reset, we've got to also understand we got to reframe the complaints that we have into gratitude. When you get among your family in the next 2 days for Thanksgiving, I want you to think about some things when people begin to complain. Let's do a role play right quick this morning. When people begin to complain and they say, I'm overwhelmed with deadlines, I'm overwhelmed with work, I'm overwhelmed with long hours. Maybe you, as the person who's choosing joy, can come back and say, but I'm thankful that I have meaningful work. I'm thankful that God provides that work that I have. That's my provision that he provides for me, for my family, for me to get around, for me to do the things that I want. I'm thankful because that provision. A lot of times we're looking for God to do the miraculous, and we serve a God who does do the miraculous. We serve a God who can do everything but fail. But sometimes we don't even look at what we have. We want God to give us, great finances, but he provided work for you. Now you got to be good stewards in using your finances that he has provided for you in a right way to gain what it is you need to gain. But provision has already been made. We want God to pay, our various bills, but he once again provided for you a source of income. He provided for you something that you need. Now we might be mismanaging our resources, but provision has been made for us. Maybe we need to rethink how we're using our finances of resources that he provided for us in a different way. One of the big things, a complaint is traffic. I don't know about you, but where I live at, traffic is horrible. Doesn't matter what time of the day it is. It doesn't matter what day it is. Traffic is really terrible. And sometimes when I get on the road, the main road around me, traffic, I get there and I'll be like, wow. But then you got to change that complaint around and you got to say, I'm grateful that I have transportation to be in that traffic. And I haven't truly gotten there yet, so pray for me. But I'm grateful that I have transportation to be in that traffic. As a matter of fact, sometimes I say I'm grateful for opportunities and options. What do I mean? Because if traffic is too heavy there, I'm so glad for side streets. I'm so glad for back roads because you can shift and you can go another way. So I'm grateful for the point that God made side streets. I'm grateful that God made options for us to take another direction when we go it. Sometimes it's about changing your mindset. Another thing is that when we gather together in the next couple of weeks with family and family begins to get on our nerves, you got to look back and say, but God, I love my family. I'm thankful that I have this opportunity that I'm able to share life with my family. I'm thankful that my cousins are still here. I'm thankful that my sisters are still here. I'm thankful for my nieces, my nephews, my aunts, whomever. I'm thankful that I have an opportunity once again, Father, to sit among them. They might be getting on my nerves right now, but God, I'm thankful that I got a nerve for them to get on. And God, help me with my mouth not to say anything. God, I'm thankful on today. So we got to take a moment when you're with your family on today, when you're with your friends, not on today, in the next couple of days, and you might be on today, when you get around them, we want to change those complaints into words of gratitude. We want to change what we're doing and become thankful in it because we choose joy. We choose to be grateful. We choose to have gratitude. We choose to walk in the way that the Father wants us to walk. The next thing, we got to live joyfully every day. So how do we sustain joy daily? It's about practice. It's about keeping your ground when everything around you seems to be going haywire. It's about starting your morning with prayer and starting your morning with meditation. It's about practicing mindfulness, noticing the small blessings that are around you. It's about the acts of kindness that you do. Joy multiplies when we share. It's about here at Thanksgiving activity. When you get to your family again, I want you to do another activity. The first activity we talked about is doing role play, taking the complaints and turning them into gratitude. The next activity, when you get around your family, I want you to create a joy jar. And what do I mean when I say a joy jar? I want you to write down blessings. I want you to write down challenges. I want you to write down something that those things have taught you that are valuable. And then I want you to drop it in the jar that you created. Because what happens is over time, you'll see a collection of reminders that will remind you that you got to be joy. You got to choose joy in everything you do. Even in the trials that you're going through, you got to choose joy in it. I was talking to one of my friends, my sister friends, on last night. And we were talking about various things. And I said to her, I said, I heard somewhere, and I don't even know if it was her and I are talking. I couldn't remember exactly where I heard it from. But, when we go through trials, when we go through tribulations, those trials and those tribulations are anointed just as you are. Because God uses those trials and those tribulations to perfect something that's concerning you. So God brought about those things. So sometimes we look at the trials, we look at the tribulation, we look at the things we go through from a wrong lens, from a wrong perspective. Those situations had to happen in order for us to be the person that we are today. So they were created in some cases, in a lot of cases, the Lord allowed those things to happen to me because he chose that particular thing, that particular event, that particular episode to happen to purge out something on inside of me. So when we begin to look at our situation in a different perspective, and I'm not saying this happens overnight. God knows it does not happen overnight, but we've got to choose to have joy. We've got to choose to look at things from a different perspective. We got to change the parameters of our mindset and begin to say, in the midst of everything, I choose joy. And because I choose joy doesn't mean that things turn around in a moment, but I choose to be happy in the midst of it. I choose to go through. And we know emotions happens and emotions change every minute, every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes. But even in the midst of it, you got to say, Father, help me not to forget to choose joy. Help me to see the joy in the midst that I'm going through. Because whatever event that I'm going through in life, someone else may not have that opportunity to go through that event. It's not the greatest thing in my life. Yes, it causes pain. Yes, it causes tear. Yes, it causes things to happen. But God, I'm choosing joy. When we look at, the point that, it's an empowerment challenge that I want us to do this week. You got to commit to one day of joy practices. I don't know if you're going to use your joy jar. I don't know if you're going to do the role play of doing gratitude versus complaint, but commit to one day. I don't know if you're going to journal. I don't know if you're going to speak affirmations. I don't know if you're going to share, the gratitude with your family when you're at the dinner table. I know for my family, what we do is, after the prayer is said, we go around the table and we talk about one thing that we're thankful for. And then, one thing that you have joy for, because it's an opportunity that we're able to gather again. And rather someone's missing from the table or not, you have an opportunity to have life. So choose joy. When we choose joy, when we practice, joy every day, what happens is that joy muscle, it begins to develop. It begins to get bigger. It begins to get stronger. The more you practice, the stronger that joy muscle becomes. And when trials come your way, what happens is you're readily counted all joy, as James said. So family, on today, as we begin to go into this Thanksgiving, holiday, I want us to choose joy. I want us to go back and relook at what James said. He said, consider it pure joy wherever you face trials of many kind, because the testing of your faith is going to produce perseverance. Choose joy. Joy just doesn't deny trials. It transforms the trials that you go through. It turns obstacles into opportunities, and it turns pain into purpose. I don't know what's going to happen in the upcoming holiday, but choose joy. Even on this morning and me having all of these technical differences, I could cloud up and rain. I could have put up that we're not having this on today. But I said, let me consider and let me look at this from a different perspective. Let me go on and let me get in there. And God, help me to see the joy in the midst of it. It could be that maybe the whole broadcast didn't come on at all. Instead of it just coming on and the look of the broadcast is wrong. But yet and still, Father, help me to deliver what it is that you put inside of me to deliver to the people. Family on the line today, I want you to carry joy into your Thanksgiving week and beyond. I want you to let it be your lens, your language, and your lifestyle that you do. Family, I want to say to you, have an amazing Thanksgiving. Enjoy your family. People always say, don't glutter and don't eat too much. I say, eat all you want and want all you can eat. But remember, after Thanksgiving Day is over, everything that you ate, it doesn't leave you. It stays with you for a period of time. So have an amazing Thanksgiving. Thank you for joining us on another Tuesday Transformation Tidbits. Until the next time, I want to say to you, keep choosing joy. Keep living empowered and keep transforming your life one tidbit at a time. Happy Thanksgiving. Be amazing on today. Shalom.